Good evening. Today marks the end of LGBT Pride Week here in Sandus. This is our second year celebrating the Pride Week, and this week has been especially important because in the macronation which surrounds Sandus, the Defense of Marriage Act in the United States has been overturned, and there was ruled that there was no legal standing for essentially third-party defenders of Proposition 8 in California to sue all the way up to the Supreme Court, thereby allowing marriage equality in California. It's not quite the victory that we were hoping for here in Sandus. Of course, we wanted the more progressive and long-reaching decision from the Supreme Court of the United States. But nonetheless, our micronation, the state of Sandus, is one which contains much pride for these people, and we are so completely proud that in Sandus, all people, regardless if they are gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, transsexual, queer, intersex, allied, etc., or even questioning, all of these people are seen as equal and free according to our law and according to our society. And in the spirit of ending this week, on the last day of LGBT Pride Week here in Sandus, I had the honor of not only being recently elected to be Vice Chairman of the Grand Unified Micronational, but at just a few minutes later, I had the honor of introducing essentially a grand finale to the week. It's important for us in Sandus, and I believe it's very important, and as a delegate pointed out in the Grand Unified Micronational, it's common sense. And in fact, this delegate who said this, he was sort of surprised that it wasn't already common practice, and it could have been, but I'm so glad that at the end of this week, in an institution which is a fundamental organization, a fundamental inter-micronational organization for our state, that the chair can now intervene in disrespect from any delegate if that delegate should disrespect an individual of a different gender identity than his or her biological sex. And of course, I just said that, his and her, but it should really be their biological sex. And in the past, we have had delegates who outright refuse it on moral grounds, which to me seems so odd, because these people are, well, this particular individual is so completely devoid of much morality. But nonetheless, it is a great occasion for us here in Sandus, and it shows that, yes, in Sandus, in this micronation, we are changing society, we're changing how things are done. And I think this speaks to the importance of micronationalism. You know, it's LGBT Pride Week, but it should just be Pride Week. There's no distinction between people. The only distinctions that we make are created by society, by individuals, and it should be a Pride Week. And for me, as a micronationalist and as bisexual, it is a very proud moment, because not only does it show that, yes, here in Sandus, we do change society, that we are pragmatic, that we are realistic, and it just shows that, yes, micronations are an important political, social function in our world. And while at work this evening, I received a text from another micronationalist who said, "You're still in the GUM?" And I also wanted to make this point tonight, because Robert Leffler, who of course is infamous, and who many people felt manipulated by, and on some occasions I felt manipulated by him too, but he was fundamental in mentoring Sandus, mentoring me as a micronationalist, and as the founder and leader of Sandus. And he essentially told me what I just told you, that micronations have a realistic, pragmatic responsibility and ability in changing politics and in changing society. And Pride Week is just one of those ways. It's just one. There are so many other things that in society we can change. And of course, Sandus is a very progressive, liberal, socialist micronation. But this is true even of other micronations who do not share our values. I think this speaks to the importance of the Grand Unified Micronational. That, yes, we might have our debates, our diplomatic arguments, and hostilities from time to time, but nonetheless, as micronations, we thrive on discussion, we thrive on education, on research, on learning. Micronationalism essentially makes us philosopher kings, as Plato put it. It makes us individuals who, as Lenin said, any cook should be able to know how to run a country, essentially. Essentially, that's what he said. And this honestly just speaks to the importance of micronationalism. And so I want to thank you for listening to this congratulatory speech, not just about Pride Week, but also the importance of what we do as micronationalists, and what we do as citizens of the state of Sandus. And we have so much more to work on. It's just been a week after the summer solstice, and we have already created a new cooperative that many people are congratulating us about and are hopeful about, and I'm just as hopeful. And we just have so much more left to do as micronationalists and as a micronation. So I just want to thank every micronationalist who has stood by the Sandom people, by our Sandom society, and as is the formula for long health, or for good health and long life, and any other fortunate and auspicious occasion, we typically say that may there be the number and then the power of the number more. So since it has been 2 years that we've celebrated LGBT Pride Week, I hope for 2 to the second more years. And of course this keeps growing every year you have it, so it's really just continues. Anyway, Thank you all, and good night.